Hello everyone, I'm Heidi from Susan's family. Today, I will teach you the bride's phoenix crown. From our Chinese aesthetic series, the Huaguan hanging ornament. It is divided into the main part, decorations, pendant tassels, hanging strings, and assembly. We will make each section in order. The main part consists of the sidepieces and the crown body. First, crochet the sidepieces, then crochet the crown body. During the crocheting process, add the sidepieces to complete the main part. Now, let's crochet the sidepieces. After completing, attach the decorative motifs. The sidepieces come in two types, left and right. The crocheting method is almost the same, but the stitch order differs. Both start with the foundation chain. Following the foundation chain, crochet in rounds counterclockwise. Wrap thin wire as you crochet. A variety of stitches are used, which will be explained in detail later. Let's start by crocheting the left sid piece. Please watch as I demonstrate. Before we begin crocheting, let's learn the proper posture for crocheting. To make it easier for everyone to see clearly, I'll use thick yarn for the demonstration. The colors are random. For specific yarn, color schemes, and hook sizes, please refer to the detail page of our product and the charts. First, take a 20 cm length of thin wire and set it aside. Then, take the corresponding color of yarn. Begin with the foundation chain. Wrap the yarn tail around your left little finger. Pass it through between your middle finger and index finger. Next, pinch the yarn tail with your left thumb and middle finger. Pick up the hook with your right hand. Position it below the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. With your left thumb and middle finger, pinch the crossing point of the loop. Put the hook on the left side of the yarn. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. This slip knot doesn't count as one stitch. Slightly tighten. CH stands for chain. The number before the chain is 15, which means make 15 chains. Now, start crocheting the chains. Yarn over and draw through. One chain is completed. This V-shaped braid represents one stitch. The loop on the hook does not count as a stitch. Continue crocheting chains. Yarn over and draw through. This is the second stitch. Repeat this process. Continue crocheting 13 more chains. After completing, check the stitch count. There should be a total of 15 stitches. Next, starting from the second chain from the hook. 1, 2. At this chain, pick up the front loop from above. That is, insert the hook under one strand and make one single crochet. Insert the hook. Add the thin wire at the same time. Place it above the hook, below the yarn tail. Wrap it in while crocheting. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. There should be 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, and draw through all the loops on your hook. One single crochet is now completed. It should correspond to the V-shaped braid at the top, right? This is the stitch of a single crochet. Continue working single crochets downward. Insert the hook into the front loop of the adjacent chain on the left side. Yarn over, draw the yarn through. Yarn over again, draw through the 2 loops on hook. The second single crochet is now completed. Continue to pick up the top front loop of each chain and work 5 single crochets. After completing, pick up the top front loop of each chain, and work 3 half double crochets. Let's start with the first one. Yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, draw the yarn through. Now there are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over again, draw through all loops on the hook. 1 half double crochet is now completed. Next, work 1 more half double crochet in the adjacent chain on the left side. Yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over and draw the yarn through. Yarn over again, draw through all 3 loops on the hook. The second half double crochet is now completed. Work 1 more half double crochet below. TM stands for HDC3 tog. Yarn over first. Pick up the front loop of the adjacent chain. Yarn over and draw the yarn through. This is an unclosed half double crochet. Next, work another unclosed half double crochet in the adjacent chain on the left side. Yarn over, insert the hook. Yarn over and draw the yarn through. The second unclosed half double crochet is now done. Work another unclosed half double crochet below. Now there are 7 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Draw through all loops on the hook. One HDC3 tog is now completed. You should now be at the position of the last stitch. For the final chain, pick up the front loop, work 7 half double crochets. At this point, you have reached the other side of the foundation chain. Pull the thin wire to make both ends the same length. Pick up the remaining 2 strands of the chain below and continue crocheting. The entry position on this side corresponds to the positions on the other side. TV refers to a HDC 2 in 1. 4 TV means to work 4 consecutive HDC 2 in 1. Let's start with the first HDC 2 in 1. This means working 2 half double crochets into the adjacent insertion point on the left side. Pay attention, do not insert into the insertion point of the first 7 half double crochets on this side. Pick up the remaining 2 strands of the left chain and work 2 half double crochets. Note: place the starting tail above the hook. Wrap it together with the wire into the pieces you crochet. One, 2. The HDC 2 in 1 is completed. Work 3 HDC 2 in 1 downward. Continue weaving in the tail. Then work 1 half double crochet. One HDC 2 in 1. One single crochet. The V indicates a SC2 in 1. This means working 2 single crochets into the same stitch. 1, 2, The SC 2-in-1 is completed. Work downward, corresponding to the chains. Crochet 5 single crochets. Then work 1 chain. Join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Insert. Yarn over, draw the yarn through, pull through all loops on the hook. Tighten. Secure with 1 chain. Leave a 5 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Weave in the ends on the wrong side. Trim any excess yarn tails. The starting yarn tail has already been worked into a few stitches. It can now be cut off. Pull the thin wire again, to make the stitch pattern lay flat. Ensure the wire ends are roughly equal in length. Tighten the wire. This completes the left side piece. As you can see, the left end of this side piece naturally curls upwards. The wire is placed on the right end. Now we will crochet the right side piece. The method is almost the same as for the left side. The stitches have been explained earlier. Please refer to the previous demonstration. Follow the chart to complete. This is the right side piece looks like after completion in the sample. Maintain symmetry on both sides. This concludes the explanation of crocheting the side piece. After completing the side piece, attach the decorations. The installation method for the accessories on both sides is the same. Ensure they are positioned symmetrically. I will explain and demonstrate using the right side piece as an example in the sample. The yarn colors are not for reference. I will only demonstrate the method. First, take out the yarn used for the side piece. Thread 1 strand through the darning needle. I have already threaded it here. Tie a knot at the end. First, on the side piece, near this decrease stitch, sew on a small petal with a bead accessory. Start by inserting the needle from the back side. Secure the thread. Then come up to the right side. Next, pass through a cloyas small petal. With the petals right side facing you. And a small bead. Return and pass through the small petal. This secures the small petal with the bead. Then, take the thread over to the corresponding position on the left side. Right next to this small flower. And secure another small petal with a bead. Once completed, tie off. Weave in the yarn tail. This completes the decorations on the right side of the side piece. Install the left side symmetrically using the same method. That concludes the explanation of the side piece decorations. Next, we will crochet the crown body. Start with a foundation chain, and crochet in rounds counterclockwise. Wrap thin wire as you crochet. The new stitches used include SC3-in-1 and SC2 tog. In the chart, our plus number indicates the round number. The stitch instructions column describes the stitches and increases or decreases. When working the current round, the total stitches column shows the total number of stitches. After completing that round, please watch as I demonstrate. First, make a foundation chain of 24 chains. Then work round 1. Start from the second to last stitch. Pick up the top loop of the chain and begin crocheting. Insert the hook. Remove the thin wire. Place it above the hook and below the yarn tail. Make 1 SC2-in-1. While crocheting, wrap the thin wire. Continue picking up the top loops of the chains to the left, and crochet 3 single crochets followed by 1 SC2-in-1. Then crochet 6 single crochets in sequence. Follow with 1 SC2-in-1. Here, 6xv is completed. Parentheses indicate one group. Times several indicates the number of times to repeat the group. Here it is times 2. One group has already been completed. Now crochet another group. First, crochet 6 single crochets in sequence. Then make 1 SC2-in-1. The second group is now completed. Next, crochet 3 single crochets in sequence. At this point, you are just before the last chain of the foundation chain. W means crocheting SC3-in-1. That means making 3 single crochets into the final chain position. One, 2, 3. The SC3-in-1 is now completed. Adjust the thin wire. Leave 3 centimeters at the starting end. Fold it back. Keep it close to the foundation chain. Now you are crocheting on the other side of the foundation chain. Pick up the remaining 2 loops of the chain and follow the chart to crochet. Pay attention to weaving in the ends while wrapping the thin wire. Do not crochet the first stitch into the insertion point of the SC3-in-1. When you reach the position corresponding to the bent wire, wrap it together into the piece. Crochet until the last single crochet. Note that this stitch should be crocheted in the same position as the first SC2 in one of this round. Then pick up the first single crochet and work one slip stitch. Tighten. Tidy up the stitches on the thin wire. Make sure they lay flat and natural. Ensure both sides are symmetrical. Next, crochet round 2. This round involves picking up stitches to crochet. Continue wrapping the thin wire. Start with a chain. Then make a SC2 in 1. Follow this with 26 single crochets into the corresponding stitches. After completing these, work a SC3 in 1 into the adjacent stitch on the left. Continue crocheting the corresponding stitches according to the chart. Then join with a slip stitch. Tighten. Tidy up the stitches on the thin wire. Moving down, refer to the chart to complete round 3. Note: after each round, make sure to tidy up the thin wire promptly. This ensures that the stitches are evenly distributed across the piece. The last stitch of each round should be worked into the insertion point of the first SC2 in 1. Always start with a beginning chain. Finish each round with a slip stitch and tighten. This will not be repeated in subsequent instructions. Now, let me show you how to count the rounds. On the right side of the piece, you will see raised textures, forming circles. Start counting from the gap in the middle and move upwards. Count the number of these raised textures. That will tell you how many rounds have been completed. 1, 2, 3. This means that 3 rounds have been crocheted. You can see that the right side texture is more distinct. The wrong side is less clear. While crocheting, keep the right side facing towards you. Next, we will crochet round 4. Start with a SC2 in 1. Then crochet 6 single crochets sequentially. Next, crochet 1 SC2 tog. Insert into the stitch, yarn over and draw the yarn through. This is an unclosed single crochet. Then, in the adjacent stitch on the left, make another unclosed single crochet, insert, yarn over, pull the yarn through. At this point, there are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook. 1 SC2 tog is now completed. Continue by crocheting 6 more single crochets. Followed by another SC2 tog. Start with 2 unclosed single crochets. Then yarn over, and draw through all loops. The second group, 6x, A, is now completed. Decreasing stitches will cause the piece to curl naturally. Adjust the wire accordingly. And continue referring to the chart. Complete the 5th round. Next, I will demonstrate the 6th round. We need to connect the side pieces. Start with a SC2 in 1 according to the chart. Then crochet 3 more single crochets. Take the right side piece. That is, the one bending upwards on the right end. Twist the wire of the side piece with the wire of the crown. Bend the side piece inward. Then continue with 4 more single crochets. This completes the first 7x. Continue wrapping the wire. Refer to the chart and crochet the corresponding stitches. Keep going until you reach the second 7x. Start with 3 single crochets. On the 4th single crochet, add the left side piece using the same method as before. Then continue referring to the chart to finish this round. Complete the last stitch. Pull tight with a slip stitch. Secure with 1 chain. Leave a 5 cm yarn tail, and cut the yarn. Weave in the ends on the wrong side. Then leave about 0.5 cm of wire and cut it off. Bend it back. Try to weave it into the piece. Neatly arrange the side piece. Ensure both side pieces are symmetrical. The side without the side piece is the front. Place the side piece with the right side facing you. Let it hang down as a whole. Bend the outer end upwards more sharply. Refer to the finished product or adjust according to personal preference. That concludes the explanation of the crown body. Next, we will attach decorations. These include cloyessa small flower motifs and small beads, 2 beads clusters, pom-poms and large pearls. The large motif and tassel combination at the back. Install them in sequence. The installation method for the cloyessa small flower motifs and small beads here is identical to the side piece. Start by installing the first motif and small bead at the middle of the crown's right side, at the 5th round position. Then proceed to the left, with petals tightly next to each other, and install the remaining 4. Next, transition the yarn inside the piece over to the right side, and install the small flower motifs and beads on the right. The right side should be symmetrical to the left side. Make sure to secure them well. Next, install the 2 bead clusters. The 2 bead clusters are distributed along the line between the 3rd and 4th rounds. The overall length matches that of the previous cloyessa small flower motifs. Each group consists of 2 bead clusters. There are a total of 5 groups. The gaps between them should be roughly equal. You can refer to the positions of the previous row of cloyessa small flowers. Install them from right to left, respectively behind the 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th small flower motifs in their approximate rear positions. Determine their respective positions. Let's start by installing the group on the right. First, take a strand of yarn from the main part and thread it through the darning needle. The darning needle should be able to pass through the 2 beads and seed beads. First, weave in the yarn and tie a knot to secure the sewing thread. Fix the sewing thread in place. Then pass through a 2 bead, a medium pearl, and a seed bead. Next, pass back through the medium pearl and the 2 bead. Gently pull to tighten. Then pass through the piece. One bead cluster is now sewn on. Continue at the same position, and sew another identical cluster. After completing, transition the thread to the adjacent group on the left, at the corresponding position. Continue sewing the 2 bead clusters. I will not repeat the demonstration in this small sample. The method is the same. After completing all the 2 bead clusters, tie off. Weave the sewing thread into the piece. This completes the explanation of the 2 bead clusters. Here is the final effect of the 2 bead clusters. They should stand up like this. 2 in each group, spreading out to both sides. Later, you can use a bit of glue at the bottom of the 2 beads to help set their shape. Next, attach the pom-poms underneath. Let me demonstrate first. And then you can start sewing. There are 2 rows. Let's start with the front row. There are 7 pom-poms in total. Following the same method, thread the needle with yarn along the center line, where you work the beginning chain. First, determine the position for the middle pom-pom. Secure the yarn by weaving in the end to fix the sewing thread. Go straight up vertically through the pom-pom. Then come back down, leaving a small interval, and go straight down vertically through the pom-pom and the piece. Pull slightly to tighten. Tidy up, making sure the sewing thread doesn't show on the surface of the pom-pom. Use moderate tension, so as not to distort the shape of the pom-pom. Then move to the left, right next to the pom-pom, and sew on 3 more pom-poms, keeping them aligned in the same line. Once done, tie off and weave in the ends. Then on the other side, sew on 3 more pom-poms using the same method. I won't continue sewing after that. Once completed, thread the needle with the yarn in the same way as before. Tie a knot with 2 strands. And sew a large purl between each pair of pom-poms, starting from the rightmost pom-pom. Come out from a position towards the top on its left side. While also passing through a large purl. Then go through the corresponding position on the left pom-pom from below. Next, come out from a position towards the top and to the left of the second pom-pom. Then pass through the second large purl. Insert into the corresponding position on the third pom-pom, while also passing through the piece. This secures the second large purl. To ensure the pearls are secure, pass the thread through the center of each pom-pom each time. Come out with a slight space in between. Follow the same method to secure the remaining large pearls. Once completed, tie off and weave in the ends. Next, attach the large pearls and pom-poms for the back row. Let's look at the finished product. In the last row, there is 1 large pearl with a pom-pom positioned above it. There are a total of 7 groups. The installation method is the same for all. Let me explain the installation positions here. First, match them with the pom-poms in front. There are 3 pom-poms on the outer sides, left and right. Match them to the gaps between each pair. The middle group should align with the center pom-pom at the front. Once the positions are confirmed, install them sequentially from right to left. For demonstration, I'll use the pearl and pom-pom group at the far right. Demonstrate the installation method. Take out the yarn from the crocheted main part. Draw a single strand through the sewing needle. Tie a knot with 2 strands in the gap between the 2 pom-poms at the front. Secure the sewing thread with about 3-4 rounds. Then thread the bead. Pass through the pom-pom. Go back a short distance and pass through the pom-pom and bead again. Pass through the piece at the same time. Slightly tighten. Hide the sewing thread inside the pom-pom. Pay attention to using moderate force. You can also sew a few more times for added security. Then transition the sewing thread to the left. Secure the second group of pearl pom-poms. After that, refer to the finished product and the positions explained earlier. Install the row of pearls and pom-poms accordingly. That concludes the explanation for pearls and pom-poms. After completion, making and installing the large cloissa flower motif and tassels on the back. Start by installing the large flower motif. I will demonstrate the method using this small sample. Thread the needle according to the previous method. For easier sewing, you can use a slightly longer needle. Use 2 strands and tie a knot at the end. On the back side of the large flower motif, there are 4 securing loops. The side with a row of metal rings is the bottom. Start by sewing the 3 securing loops at the bottom. Take out the main part and the large flower motif. Have the side with the side piece facing you. Ensure the front side of the large flower motif is also facing you. Locate this side. At the second to last round, find 2 points approximately 8 single crochets apart. Correspond to the left and right, securing loops at the bottom of the large flower motif. The middle securing loop corresponds to the stitch position, in the middle of these 2 points along the edge. Make sure the positions are correctly aligned. Start by securing the point on the right. Insert the sewing needle first. Then pass it through the knot loop. Secure the sewing thread well. Next, sew it to the corresponding position. After completing, carry the yarn across the middle of the piece. Use the same method to sew and secure the corresponding point. Once completed, tie a knot and weave in the ends. Then take out another 10 centimeters of the same color yarn as the main part. Thread it through the sewing needle. Approximately at the 4th round, in the middle position, come out from inside to outside. Then pass through the securing hole above the large motif. Go back and pass through the piece with a bit of interval. Adjust the tension so that the motif sits close to the main part at the bottom, keeping it vertical overall. Once completed, tie a knot on the inside. And weave excess thread inside using a sewing needle. Trim off any excess yarn tails. If you're worried about it coming undone, you can secure the knotted area with some glue. This completes the installation of the large motif. Next, we'll make the tassels. Take the thread and thread it through the sewing needle, ensuring the needle can pass through small beads. Tie a knot. Leave as little yarn tail as possible at the knot, and make sure it is secure. Then, thread on one small pearl followed by one red bead. And then 18 small pearls. In my sample, I'm using fewer beads for demonstration, just to show the method. Once done, pass through a metal ring underneath the large motif. And tie a knot to secure it. Pay attention to keeping the tension loose enough. Then, thread the sewing yarn through the beads, and weave it well. Follow the same method to complete the tassels on the remaining metal rings. This concludes the installation of the large motifs and tassels. Finally, take out the small red tassel. Then take out the same color thread as the main part. Pull out one strand, thread it through a needle, and tie a knot with 2 strands. Pass the sewing needle through the center of the fixed line, in the middle of the tassel knot. Then through the knotted loop. And pull tight. Then, cut off the original ring of the tassel. Next, thread on 4 small white beads. And secure it at the stitch positions on both ends of the outer side of the side piece. Install the other side piece in the same way. This concludes the decorative part. Next, we will make the pendant tassel. Take the thread and insert it into the sewing needle. Tie a knot with 2 strands. Make sure the knot is secure. Take out the tassel. Wrap the hanging string around the pineapple knot, and tie a knot. Once completed, hide the excess hanging string inside the pineapple knot. Trim off the excess hanging string. Tuck it into the inside of the tassel. Then, insert the sewing needle from inside the tassel knot, and exit through the top. Pass through the knot you made. Then insert 4 small white beads. Next, pass through the bottom circular hole of the wooden pendant. Pass back through the beads. Tie a knot. Hide the thread inside the beads. Trim off the excess. Take another 30 centimeters of thread. Thread the needle and tie a knot. Pass through the top circular hole of the wooden pendant. Pass back through the knotted loop. Then insert 1 red bead and 5 small white beads. This makes 1 group. Repeat for 2 more groups. This completes the tassel for the pendant. Leave the remaining thread and needle attached for now. Set it aside for later use. Next, we will work on the hanging string. First, take out the corresponding color of yarn. Start with a chain. Crochet a braid about 20 centimeters long. Then join the beginning and end with a slip stitch. Secure with one chain. Pull tight. Weave in the ends. This completes the hanging string. Set it aside for later use. Take out the tassel and the main part. The main part decorations are already installed. The position of the tassel is at the back of the main part, near the bottom of the pearl pom-pom in the middle. From inside out, come out with the yarn needle. At this point, you can lift it up to check the overall effect of the main part and see if it is straight. If there is any offset, you can adjust the insertion position forward or backward. Once done, then thread through 4 small white beads. Next, fold the hanging string in half along the knot area. At the position of the knot, sew a few stitches to connect and secure it. Tie a knot. Hide the sewing thread inside the hanging string. This concludes the explanation for the hanging string and assembly. Finally, tidy up the side piece. Bend the side piece like this. You can complete it by referring to the finished product, or according to personal preference. This concludes the explanation for making the crown. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website. Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.